I'll welcome you in now, and I'll let you discuss what has been the underlying story of this entire gambling season, our preseason Super Bowl bet. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so before we get into your picks for this week, let's talk about your big Super Bowl prediction.
Yeah.
We talked about it in the first show. I think we're going to show a...
oh, we have a clip? All right, let's watch the clip.
For you guys.
My Super Bowl pick is Chiefs-Niners. If you bet the Chiefs to win the AFC and the Niners to win the NFC, it's a rematch, by the way, Super Bowl from a few years ago. That is plus 5,000. 50 to 1. DeMonte, there's 4 teams left. The Eagles are left. The Bengals are left. And who are the other 2 teams remaining?
The 49ers and the Chiefs.
So we are as close as we can get to hitting that 50 to 1. Now you go right ahead.
Yeah, so you obviously called that back when the first episode of this particular show aired.
Yeah.
Can you walk
September
us
2nd.
Yep. Can you walk us through your thought process and what made you choose this particular bet?
Okay, so why did I like the Chiefs and the Niners before the year? So we'll start with the Chiefs. I thought a number of things were happening. One is I thought people were way overvaluing the AFC West. Now, listen, I thought the Chargers were good enough to make the conference championship game, and maybe they would have been. They obviously got absolutely annihilated by injuries, and they still found a way into the playoffs. We're up 27-0 in their playoff game. But I thought the Raiders were not going to be very good, and I thought the Broncos were hilariously overvalued. Additionally, what I did get wrong was I thought the Bengals were going to take a bit of a step back. Now, it looked like that was correct at the beginning of the season. I had the Bengals making the playoffs, making it as a wild card team. The Bengals have been, obviously one of the hottest teams in the league ever since the opening month of the season. But the other part of it was there was real value on the Chiefs because everyone was anointing the Buffalo Bills. And so the Chiefs were not the overwhelming favorites within their division. They weren't the favorites at all. They were the favorites in their division, but not overwhelming as they had been in years past. You could get plus money on them to win their division, meaning they were the favorites for the AFC West, but Chiefs versus the field, they were an underdog according to the money on it. And then there was the Bills that were treated like this unstoppable juggernaut that I just simply did not buy into. So for all of those reasons, plus the fact I thought the market was slightly overstating the impact of Tyreek Hill being gone, and I knew, now, to be fair, I didn't pick the Chiefs to be the 1 seed. I thought they were going to have to play a road playoff game or 2 for the first time in the Mahomes era, but I knew what their plan was on defense in playing all these young players, half dozen rookies getting significant snaps, and the idea then would be by the end of the year, by games 15, 16, 17, 18, those rookies are no longer really rookies, and the defense could be peaking at just the right time, and I knew Mahomes would be fine. And to be honest, that is exactly what happened. The Bills were frauds. The AFC West was not the greatest division ever, and the Chiefs defense now sits here today, second in the NFL in sacks, the most pressures of any team in the league outside of Dallas, and the most quarterback hits of any team in the league outside of Dallas, with these young players coming into their own, and the Chiefs offense led the league in points and led the league in yards. So that was the Chiefs side of the bet. Then there's the Niners side of the bet. The Niners bet was essentially a twofold bet. The first one was I looked around the NFC and I did not believe in the Eagles the way everyone else seemed. They were the trendy team. We talked about it. People are talking about they could be the 1 seed. And I said, listen, I reluctantly picked them to win their division, but I did not think they would be a 14-3 team. Well, they were a 14-3 team and could have been better than that if we're being totally honest. They were, 13-1, and then Jalen got hurt. So I missed on the Eagles. But the rest of it, what was our favorite preseason win total? Bucks under 11.5. I didn't look at the Bucks as a real contender. The Packers, to me, missed their window. I didn't look at the Packers as a real contender. The Rams, we knew that we didn't know Stafford was going to get hurt, but he did go into the year with an elbow injury. We knew they'd miss Von Miller. We knew they'd miss Odell. So the Rams, to me, were not a dynamite contender. So now we're really only down to a handful of teams as far as who could win the NFC. And the Niners, it wasn't that I thought Trey Lance was going to instantly come in and be better than Jimmy Garoppolo. But Jimmy Garoppolo, statistically, is one of the worst playoff quarterbacks ever. He has played 6 career playoff games. He has 4 touchdowns. He has 6 interceptions. He has a passer rating of 74. He is the worst postseason fourth quarter quarterback ever, a passer rating of less than 20 in his career in the postseason in the fourth quarter. And so my logic there was the Niners, by the end of the season, are going to have better quarterback play than they'd had at any point during the Jimmy Garoppolo era. Now, that ended up being true, but it wasn't because of Trey Lance. It was because of Brock Purdy. But Kyle Shanahan has coached 8 playoff games with the Niners. The 2 best quarterbacking performances that he's gotten have been the 2 Brock Purdy games. So I loved the Niners defense, loved DeMeco Ryans. We said it on the show before the year. Now he's the new head coaching candidate. Loved their skill position guys. And I thought Trey Lance was going to add a dynamic to the offense as far as quarterback run game that Shanahan's offense would be just utterly devastating with. Now, that never came to fruition. The guy played 5 quarters and broke his leg. And then Jimmy G came in, and once they traded for McCaffrey after the Chiefs game, they were rolling. And then I think the best thing that could have happened to him was Jimmy G goes out, and I don't think Purdy's great. I don't even know if Purdy's good, but Purdy is not a terrible playoff quarterback the way Jimmy G has been. The NFC's wide open. Now, what did I say when I was explaining this whole thing? My 2 big misses were underrating the Eagles and underrating the Bengals. I had them both making the playoffs. I had neither of them as actual Super Bowl contenders. Either one of those teams could, of course, ruin my 50-1 bet. So you've got a chance to be responsible and hedge it. I don't hedge bets. I'm not hedging. I would be, this is a do as I say, not as I do type of thing. If you had this future writing, I would be hassling you on a daily basis, trying to convince you to hedge it. But
yeah, I was about to say, I can't afford to not have $16,000 in my bank account.
Well, even if it were, let's say you made a $100 bet and it was to win $5,000. You know what I mean? Instead of a $1,000 bet to win $50,000. Yeah. If it was a $100 bet to win $5,000 and you right now could get $1,500 out of it, I would be strongly encouraging you to take it. I don't know if you would
bring it back down to my scale.
Well, what do you think you would do? Because you made a $100 bet before. So let's say you made a $100 future and it was 50-1, and you now the little cash out option says $1,500. What are you doing?
I think I'm sticking with it.
Okay, let me ask this. We're watching the game Sunday. The Niners win the early game. Now the cash out option is $2,400. It's either going to, and so you can either click yes, or it's going to be 0, or it's going to be 5,000. What are you doing? What are you doing? What do you think?
Hey, man, I'm hoping Joe Burrow gets banged up early.
Oh, okay. Well, that's...
No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't pray for injury, but I definitely think I'd still have to, especially if the 49ers were to win early. I couldn't see myself.
Now,
this happened to me early in the year.
What happened?
With a parlay, and it was like it was the Packers playing the Bills, I think.
Oh yeah.
And
you had the Packers plus 10.5 or 11
like that. Yeah.
And the Bills were it was Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
The Bills were crushing them, and then the Bills ended up having a terrible second half, and the Packers ended up losing 27-17.
Yeah.
It was a miraculous cover, but you didn't cash out of that one.
No.
And if you remember during that one, when the Bills went up huge early, Your cash out option
like 14 cents.
Yeah, it was nothing. It was terrible.
Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.